Traders, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another Relentless recap. As you're tuning in, be sure to check out the disclaimer, which is currently on screen. Remember that day trading is risky. A lot of people are having a hard time, so take it slow. Utilize cash accounts, small cash accounts, utilize simulators, practice, improve before being aggressive in the markets. Remember that copy trading does not work. Remember that my results are not typical. And lastly, I do not invest for my subscribers, so be careful of fake accounts. With that being said, hit thumbs up, subscribe, and let's talk a little bit about how we were able to make about $2,300 trading today. As you guys can see, a lot of losing tickers here and only one solid winner. So it was a bit of a choppy day. We've been seeing a lot of chop here, a lot of stocks that's been somewhat struggling into the open. And you know what? Today I did say early pre-market, if you guys go back and watch, that CMRX I like. And I like because the bulk of the extension happened pretty early yesterday in after hours. And since then we've been flatlining and sideways, which means, in my opinion, we have more of a chance at giving an uptrend into the open versus a stock that's super extended at the highs. And so that's exactly what we got. I was prepared for the move. I thought it could happen, and it did. My intuition was right. So I had this one in my top three. And it started off here with a bit of a simpler red to green. And from here, took off. So lows ended up at 205. Highs were at 220, over 220. This thing never looked back. Over VWAP, it absolutely took off, pushing higher and higher before then retesting the level. A bit of an overshoot of landing zone, held up twice right here as well, and then surged back up. Big green candle here, small baby pullback, ripped higher, and then from here is where we had our first real consolidation. As always, sideways momentum, sideways momentum. What is it going to be? Are we going to go up? Or are we going to break down and go right back to low of day, full retracement? When the stocks break down, I'm buying sometimes towards the lows here. Sometimes I'm buying a little lower. Maybe we come to the VWAP one more time and then recover. When we pull back like this and I buy and stock goes up, great. But oftentimes we're seeing here, especially in the last few days, where I'm buying in this area, right? I'm buying either here on these candles or down here at the VWAP, and then the stock just goes right back to low of day and I'm just losing on the way down. So thankfully one stock held up today and this thing curled. From 244 we ripped up to 58. From 58 we ripped up to 77. And then we had our second major consolidation. Lows were around 55, highs were around 75, and this thing took off, going to then 80, then $3, 280 to then $3, all the way up to 325. And then we had our third major consolidation, and we had some real resistance up here around 19. Every time the stock came up around 19, we had trouble, right? Every time it came up around 19, trouble, 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 trouble. Finally broke over, was looking good, like it was going to take off to 350, and then immediately back down. Before then, it did give a big, massive red to green, and this was off of VWAP right here, I will say. I was not looking at the stock here, but it curled up nicely. But you can see the moment it got back to 19, resistance all over again, just like earlier, and it could not break out to retest and sold off from there. So in terms of like where I was getting in specifically, a lot of the entries again, 1 minute candles to make new highs, double bottoms, high of day breakouts, stuff like that. And throughout the move up, I'm always keeping my stop tight, always keeping my stops tight. Some of you guys might say, well, Relentless, where did you find this stock? I found it utilizing Momo Pro, a scanning software that I use here every day. All right. I compile my watch list pretty early, around 9 a.m. Sometimes a little later. Today a little later, 9:20 a.m. You can see CMRX was one of my top stocks. CMRX. In fact, where are we? I don't even know where it is on this list. It's currently up 240%. Oh, it's at the top. Oh, I'm blind. Okay. So yeah, it's at the top, leading the way. 238, 240%. 180 million shares of volume. The float a little higher at 80 million. Which, you know, this one, despite that bit of a higher float, it was moving like a normal low float stock, which did mean it was a little bit more liquid, right? Because of the size of the float. So, you know, maybe I should have took even more size than I did. I could have probably had great fills. This is something I have to pay more attention to. That way I can determine a fair, aggressive share size, really, especially if I'm connecting. Because while I had a decent size, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like still pretty small. Like it's a $3 stock, $2 stock. So we probably could have had like 9,000 base size and like 30,000 big size or something. Like, you know, we have to test these limits, right? We have to test out the limits to see. So that was CMRX. And for the losses, in the loss columns, we had QURE. QURE. Looks like it gave a bit of an afternoon push. Oh, not bad. Well, the volume was kind of light. Volume's kind of light, but, you know, not bad nevertheless. So this one a little bit more expensive, around the $14, $15 area. I tried a couple of trades early, but no luck. And I only traded, I believe, like 3,000, 4,000 shares total. Let's just double check. I don't think I traded a lot. Yeah, just a couple. Yeah, maybe like 6,000 shares total, 10,000 shares. Less than 10,000. Tried it here early for the pullback trade, and it was a decent entry. But one of two things. Either I needed it to a little lower or to hold it a little longer. But we had lows around like 07. I was in at 27. I'm like, yeah, let's probably cut this in case it breaks below the whole dollar. But it's a pretty massive pullback. It's almost full retracement pullback. And so I got stopped out before the bounce. This did bounce back up in this candle here, going back to about 50, and then it came down and sold off. Actually, the highs here was 66. So from 1401 to 1466, I missed that move. We then consolidated at the lows, and so I came back later, tried it on the way up. Didn't really get any luck trying to buy break of 15. Tried twice. In at 96, out at 81, in at 99, out at 90. Not good. After the resumption, tried to dip and rip, in at 15.18, out at 15.19. It was a little choppy, was slow to react, so I sold. It did ended up bouncing, but very delayed and just not clean. Last stock, BNZI. This one we thought would have had, you know, a little bit more fight in it, but not all the time you get some clean moves, man. Let's see. I got long at 938, 1500, 1500, 938, 938, 20, 938, 55, 938. So it looks like I came to it and I started watching the pullback. The previous high was 60. We had 65 if we include pre-market. High day at that time was 279. So from 65 it dipped down. I tried, I believe, like sub 50 dip. Let's see, one sub 50, one sub 40, and one was a high of day attempt. The first trade was a high of day attempt over 65. So I'm in right at 64, it rejects. The high was 66, only green unrealized 2 cents before it started collapsing. We took a loss. Let's see, 38.03. We took a loss at 60, 61. And then for the trade below 50, we stopped out at 41. And the trade at 37, we stopped out 36. All losses, down 300. So, you know, about 660 in just two stocks here, which you know, we try to avoid, but sometimes, man, these stocks, they just get you. And I think I still can do a better job of utilizing smaller size for longer to start. This $600 was definitely better than being down 2K versus the prior day. But can we get this 600 to then now down to zero, and or at least close to zero? Because I think it's fine to start slightly red, but just not being too red, deep red, to where once a good stock comes, you're digging yourself out of the hole. Or if a good stock never comes, then it's a fairly decent sized red day. But instead, can I start tight, you know, down 400 max, like 300 max, and then hey, hot stock comes, boom, plus 5K, solid day, right? So that's the plan tomorrow. We got to keep working on this slow start and red start that we're getting. So of course, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. The archive has been uploaded for the students, so you guys can check it out. Quick recap here. It's been RT. It's been RT, and I am, of course, lighting is in the depths. I gotta just throw everything out the window and buy all new equipment, man, at this rate, because nothing working here. Maybe I gotta hire a professional camera guy to come stand and record me as I trade. But anyhow, remember our disclaimer: trading is risky. Copy trading doesn't work. Use a simulator. Use a small cash account, 1 to 10 shares. And remember, I will never message you first. Check out the links down below. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. The links down below are for Momo Pro, the scanning software. Coupon code Relentless for 25% off. There's also the chat room link and the course website for anybody who's interested. All right, stay safe, stay green. I'm out like salt.